morning, the title of my message is Suffering. What seems bad can be good. And you're probably thinking, oh, what the heck? What good is there in suffering? Suffering's bad. Well, not according to the Bible. So the key verse to this message is 1 Peter 1, 6-9. And I'm going to start my message by sharing my story. My story of trial and suffering. Okay? And it's my story of dealing with my son, Lot. Okay, when his health issues that he had when he was younger. So my story begins when I became pregnant with my oldest son, Lot. And I was teaching special ed at the time and enjoying my second year of marriage to my husband, Roger. When I was 12 weeks pregnant, I went to the doctor's office for an ultrasound because we were really excited. We wanted to know the gender of our baby. But that day, the doctor gave us some devastating news. The doctor told us that our son had a rare genetic disorder, and it was called campomelic dysplasia, rare. And it's a rare form of dwarfism. That's why he's little, because he's a little person. But this disease, this disorder is lethal. Kids don't survive, but babies don't survive but a few hours after they are born with it. And it's really hard because when I go back and I think of this period, it just always, it's really difficult. See, this is my time of suffering, guys. So everyone suffers. And this is I'm going to share my testimony. But anyway, the doctor said, hey, there's no hope. He's going to die after a few hours, so you need to have an abortion. And it was very devastating, of course, and I remember I was in shock because I couldn't believe it. And I kept on asking the Lord, only one question just came to my mind, why? Why me? Why my baby? What did I do to deserve this? This is tragic. And, we said, of course, no, we're not going to terminate the pregnancy because we don't believe in that. We don't believe in killing her babies. So we said, no, we're not going to do it. We're just going to leave the baby in God's hands. But when Lot was born, he was indeed very, very sick. He couldn't breathe on his own, and they had to right away put him put a trach in his throat and hook him up to the ventilator, like a breathing machine to breathe for him. And the reason this happened, he couldn't breathe, is because this illness, this genetic disorder affects all your bones in your body. And his airways didn't have any cartilage. You know those cartilage rings that you have in your airways that keep your airways open? Yes. He didn't have any. So his airways were just floppy. So every time he tried to breathe, they would collapse and he would suffocate. Every time. And the ventilator would breathe, would push the air in him because his airways were collapsing. The doctor said, hey, nobody gets over this. You cannot grow rings. You keeping him alive is just prolonging his suffering. It's what you're doing. And everybody, all of the doctors, nurses were criticizing us because we were keeping him alive. They wanted him to just take him off life support. So I said, nope, you're going to do everything possible to keep that baby alive. We're not going to take him off life support. So anyway, it was very difficult because the doctors, he had all kinds of surgeries and procedures, and he would have bronchospasms, and that's basically like, he would have a sudden collapse of his airways, and he would suffocate, he would turn black. I'm serious, black. Not blue, not gray, black. I've never seen anything like that. And he would have those almost daily. And we would have to like bag him, bring him back, get him on oxygen, bag him. So the doctors told me, the doctor said, you know what? He's not gonna live. We can't do anything for him. He either dies here at the hospital, he dies at home. He's not gonna live. What do you want? I said, well, send him home. Let him, we'll take care of him. Send him home. So they finally, they had a long talk with us and told us that we were being very, what was the word? Unrealistic. We were not acknowledging the fact. The fact was he was gonna die. We were too optimistic. There were the scientists, they're the doctors, and they know better. And the sooner we accept the fact that our baby was going to die, the better off we were going to be. So they just kind of lectured us, because we always said, we were always hopeful. We always said, no, he's going to be okay. We trust in God. We were always very hopeful, and they just kind of did that. Right before they sent him off home, they told us, he's going to die, and you need to just accept it. So that day, I went home. I couldn't even drive because I was crying. I couldn't even see. I was completely crushed. I had lost all hope. There was no hope. They gave me no hope. And I just cried. I don't know how I made it home. And I didn't lose my faith. But I did lose all hope at that point. And I remember walking into my room and I threw myself on the floor. And I was just crying before the Lord, because I did not have a prayer. I just cried. And at that point, the Lord showed me something. And I think, now I know that was a vision. I know some people don't believe in that anymore. But what I saw, my eyes were closed and I was crying. I saw myself pregnant, very pregnant, and I was holding Lot, like he was straddling my hip. I was holding Lot. He didn't have a single tube. He was completely healthy, and I was very pregnant. His hand was in his mouth. I don't know how old he was, probably 4 or 5. He's little, so he could be 5 years old. Because at the time I got pregnant with Silas, he showed me I was pregnant and I was holding on. And I remember I stopped crying and I was like, thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Lord. You're going to heal him. And for some reason, I'm going to have another kid. I never thought I could, with all the issues that I was having. Never even imagined having another child. But the Lord showed me at that point, when I was at my lowest, when I was with no hope, the Lord gave me hope. He intervened in his mercy because he didn't have to. He could have said, daughter, let your faith, sustain you. No. He intervened and he gave me a glimpse of my future. A future where he said, I'm going to heal your son and I'm going to give you another one. The next day I told Roger, because I didn't see him, we were tag teaming, we were at the hospital. We lived there for 6 months and I would only kind of see him in passing because he was at night and I was in the day. And I said, Roger, the Lord showed me. He showed me he's going to heal Lot and we're going to have another baby. And that glimpse of my future sustained me through 20 surgeries, major surgeries, through trauma and illnesses, and we were living at the hospital. And there was times where we didn't even know he was going to make it through the night. There was just some really heavy-duty emergencies. And this is, and the Lord, as you can see, those that know my son, the Lord did heal him. How in the world? He has perfectly normal airways. How did that happen? He took him off the ventilator. He healed his lungs, took him off the tray. He raised him out of that hospital bed. He eats, he's happy, he's very active, he's a pain in the butt sometimes. The Lord healed him. And I want to not emphasize this, the huge miracle that the Lord did, but also the process that I went through as his mother, the refinement, the fiery trial, the suffering, the sleepless nights, all these things that I went through. And you know what? It brings to light what I'm telling you, that what seemed so bad, you know what? It was the best thing that ever happened to me, looking back. And I'm gonna tell you why. Let's see what the Apostle Peter says about trials, okay? In 1 Peter 1:6-9. In this you greatly rejoice, though now for a little while, if need be, you have been grieved by various trials, that the genuineness of your faith, being much more precious than gold that perishes, though it is tested by fire, may be found to praise, honor, and glory at the revelation of Jesus Christ, whom having not seen, you love. Though now you do not see him, yet believing, you rejoice with joy inexpressible and full of glory, receiving at the end of your faith the salvation of your souls. Okay, takes me to my very first point. In this life, ladies, you will suffer. Okay, and this is verse 6. In this you greatly rejoice, though now for a little while, if need be, you have been grieved by various trials. Everyone suffers. As long as we live in this sinful world that is fallen, filled with death and illness and sin, we're going to suffer. You know, and it's kind of hard. Some believers find it very difficult to accept this, because they've been taught that once you are a Christian, everything is supposed to go well with you. You're supposed to have money. You're supposed to be, your kids are supposed to be perfect. All these things that we believe that's not true, because that's not what the Bible teaches. That's not what Jesus taught. He taught in John 16:33, he taught, I have told you these things so that in me you may have peace. In this world you will have trouble. Okay, so God, like I said, Jesus never promised us a perfect life, but you know what he did promise us? That he will never leave us nor forsake us. That he was going to be right there with us and help us through it all. And you know, here in this verse, I have highlighted here, though now for a little while, right, if need be, you have been grieved by various trials. Here, the Apostle Peter is teaching that even though our trials may seem very difficult, they're temporary. They don't last forever. They're for a short time. In comparison to eternity, if you think about that, if you think about, okay, can you compare it to your eternal place, which is what? Heaven? If we do that comparison, it really stands out just how temporary our sufferings really are. In 2 Corinthians 4:17, it states, for our light affliction, okay? Look what Paul says here. For our light affliction, which is but for a moment, is working for us a far more exceeding and eternal weight of glory. Now, Paul is saying, you know what? It doesn't matter how difficult your trials seem to you, and they probably are very difficult. He calls them light. They're nothing. It's just a light affliction, and they're just for a moment. They're just for a little while. He's saying, you just persevere. They're really not that bad, because the benefit that you're going to receive from your afflictions, it's going to be, it says here, exceeding and eternal. You're going to have eternal benefits. And I'm going to continue to explain that. How is it going to be an eternal weight of glory for us? So I have here some pictures. Here's a picture of Lot when he was a year old. He was on the trach and the ventilator. And that was like, I was in my period of dark valley wilderness. It was very difficult. But now, 20 years later, he's 21 now. And look, he's got, if you see his neck, he still has that scar from the trach. You see him now, and all that is behind me. It's no longer a part of my reality. That's ancient history. God had healed him completely. He is a happy kid. The God, in his graciousness and his mercy, not only did he let him live, he could have continued living on a ventilator in my room, there in his room. No, he didn't. He healed him completely. And he gave him a good life. He has a good life. He's completely healthy. He's special needs, yes, special needs. But he is a very healthy kid. And the benefits that I received from going through that trial, that period of purification, it's like priceless. I'm not the same person because of what happened. You know, and I kept on thinking, God, for the longest time, why did you let me go through that? Why in the world did you allow me to go through that? It was such a hard time. Now I know. Okay, I'm going to talk about that right now with my second point. There is purpose in your suffering. If you are suffering, if you have gone through a difficult time, there is purpose in that. Okay? That the genuineness of your faith, being much more precious than gold that perishes, though it is tested by fire, may be found to praise, honor, and glory at the revelation of Jesus Christ. And here, it says here, our faith is tested by fiery trials. And I have here, it's a picture of gold that is being melted. Okay? And this is an example. Peter uses an example of purifying gold, a precious metal, probably one of the most precious metal here on earth, and the process that is used to purify this gold. Okay, and this is the process. They expose the gold to very high temperatures until it's completely melted. And as the gold is boiling and being processed, all the impurities rise up to the top. And then you can remove them. You see them and you remove them. Well, you do it again. You repeat the process. If there's more impurities, they're going to rise up to the top. And you remove them again. Okay, so this is kind of like an old-fashioned process to purify gold. Now, a refiner that used this old-fashioned process was asked, well, how do you know how many times you're supposed to go through this process? And the refiner said, well, I do it over and over until I can see a clear reflection of myself in the liquid gold. That's how I know it's pure. Well, you know what? The Lord does the same thing with us. He allows us to go through trial after trial. And every time, He is purifying us. He is purifying our faith. He's purifying our lives. And He does this until He can see a clear reflection of Himself in us. Same process. And the Lord, it says here in 1 Peter 1:7, it talks about the different trials that he uses. Well, you know what? I have a list of trials that the Lord might use to purify our lives. The loss of a loved one, okay? That could be a fiery trial. Tight finances, job loss, maybe an illness if you're dealing with an illness, a disability, caring for someone with a disability, which is my case, my son. He was my trial, and he still is. Not as bad, but it still is, an everyday, challenge and persecution. That was the case of the people that Apostle Peter was writing to. He was writing this letter to people, to a church that was heavily persecuted. So persecution is also a trial. Let's see what James says about trials here. In James 1:2-4, it says, "My brethren, count it all joy when you fall into various trials, knowing that the testing of your faith produces patience. But let patience have its perfect work, that you may be perfect and complete, lacking nothing." But did you see that there is something positive that came out of fiery trials? Patience. Patience. The testing of your faith produces patience. And here, where he says, "But let patience have its perfect work, that you may be perfect and complete," that just means that you are spiritually mature and that you are equipped and trained for every good work. Okay? There's another benefit of trials. Okay? Let's look at this verse. Romans 5:3-4. Let's see how many benefits come from trials. Not only that, but we rejoice in our sufferings, knowing that suffering produces endurance, and endurance produces character, and character produces hope. Okay, there's 3 more benefits. Wow. So far, I think I've counted 5. There's countless benefits from us going through hardships. Okay? And I have a list here. There's so many more, but I have a list of 6. Okay? Benefits of trials and suffering. Trials humble us. Trials strengthen our faith. Trials increase our dependence on God. Trials equip us to comfort others. Trials improve our prayer lives. And trials make us more like Jesus. Okay, do you see that? How many benefits we get through trials. And I have here, but look, this is also, look what Apostle Paul says here in Romans 8:18. "I consider that our present sufferings are not worth comparing with the glory that will be revealed in us." That it doesn't matter how difficult our trials may seem to us at the moment, you cannot compare to the glory that we are going to experience, right? Our inheritance. It does not compare. So, this is the third point. The outcome of faith is your salvation. "Whom having not seen, you love. Though now you do not see him, yet believing, you rejoice with joy inexpressible and full of glory, receiving at the end of your faith the salvation of your souls." Now right here, what Peter is explaining, he is actually describing the type of faith that we need for salvation. It's called saving faith. And the type of faith that we need is right here, where it says, have you not seen Jesus? You still love him. You don't see him, but you still believe in him. That is saving faith. And right here, Hebrews 11:1. Now faith is confidence in what we hope for and assurance about what we do not see. That is the type of faith that we need for salvation. Now do you understand why our faith has to be tested? Suffering is actually good for the believer because suffering is testing us and it's purging our lives from so many things that are displeasing. So many things. God purged my life from so many things. Going through my years of suffering. I'm not the same person. I'm not. I am closer to the Lord. The Lord increased my faith. I'm dependent. He increased my dependence on him. He improved my prayer life. Yeah. I would spend nights praying. I would go to bed crying, praying. Do you see that if we didn't go through the trials that we go through, we would not develop these habits. We would not. Our faith would not be tested in order for it to become saving faith, pure and genuine and true faith. It has to be tested because we do not grow in the good times. We mostly grow in the bad times. That is where growth happens. That is where we become spiritually mature. And all these things that we need, perseverance, hope, character, patience, all these things that we need come through suffering. Suffering, what seems bad, can be good. And because of all the suffering that I went through, I'm here. God can use me the way that he needs to use me. I would not be here if it would have not been for Lot. I would still be a teacher. I would still be living my selfish life centered on myself. That's what I would be living right now if God had not intervened. So honestly, the worst thing that I thought was the worst thing that ever happened is actually the best thing that ever happened to me, to Lot, to my family, to my husband. Because guess what? He walked alongside with me. And God did a job on him too. And that's why he's a pastor today. And we're completely devoted to the Lord. Just completely sold out, devoted. My whole family. We live, we breathe for the church, for the Lord. But boy, what we went through. And I want to tell you guys, if the Lord's going to use you, if you're going to have some kind of speaking platform, if He's going to give you a ministry, He is going to try you. He's going to put you through the fire because He has to get you ready for that. Okay? He has to purify your lives and prepare you. So, being up here teaching, it's not free. You got to pay for it. Romans 8:28. Thank you, Jesus, for Romans 8:28. And we know that all things, God works for the good of those who love Him, who have been called according to His purpose. All things, no matter how bad, how hopeless, they all work out for the good of those who love the Lord. He will work everything out. I've seen it. I've seen it in my life. I've seen it in the lives of others. That God is going to work things out for your benefit. There is purpose purpose in your suffering. And trust me, something good is going to come out of it. And I was thinking, I need an example of a hopeless situation that was really bad. Kind of like mine. I had no hope. It was bad situation. But a lot of good came out of it. And I thought, oh man, this guy. You guys know this guy, Nick Vucevic? Sorry, I can't pronounce his last name. Okay, this man was born without arms, without legs. He was just like a stump. And he had a really rough childhood. He was bullied. He was made fun of. He was depressed, suicidal, had no purpose. He saw no purpose in his life. Imagine, he had no arms, no legs. But God, in his ultimate mercy, can transform this man. He is a powerful man of God with strong faith. And I saw a video where he was saying, he was saying in this video his testimony, and he said, I just prayed and I told the Lord, I know that something good has to come out of this situation. Something good has to come out of it. Well, guess what? He now has a huge international ministry. He is a best-selling author. He's a national motivational speaker. He travels all around the world. He inspires millions of people to, number one, trust in God in every circumstance, and number two, to not give up. And look, not only did the Lord give him a powerful ministry, he gave him a beautiful wife and a family. It was something that he most desired, that he thought he would never, ever get. And the Lord blessed him. Can you see how God, he can turn the most difficult situation, hopeless, and turn it into something beautiful. Amen. Something good, something just impactful. He lives an impactful life. And I always tell the Lord, I want to live an impactful life. Impact others for you, Lord. I don't care. Use me. That's what I want to do. So, I just want to encourage you this morning. I want to encourage you. If you are going through a difficult time right now, I want to encourage you that no matter how difficult, how hopeless you think it is, God can change your situation in a blink of an eye. And whatever it is that you're going through, He is going to turn it for the good, for your good. He's going to work it out. It's a promise. It's in the Word. It's a promise. It doesn't matter what you're going through. And if you went through something, if you went through a trial, and you're still you just can't shake it. You know what? I lost my child. I lost my husband. I can't shake it. I'm still grieving. You know what? Let me remind you something. 2 Corinthians 1:3-4, it states, Praise be to God and Father of our Lord Jesus Christ, the Father of compassion and the God of all comfort, who comforts us in all our troubles, so that we can comfort those in any trouble with the comfort we ourselves receive from God. So I pray that those that are still suffering to today will receive comfort. Those whose heart needs healing will receive healing. And that the Lord will do a mighty work in your lives. And if you are in trouble and you need your situation worked out, that the Lord will intervene and help you get out of your difficult trial and situation that you find yourself in.